All right, Rich, you're all set.
Okay, all right,
Okay.
thank you, Karen. So it is now 2:34 on Wednesday, the 2nd of November, 2022, and this is a special meeting, the Ottawa Valley Board of Selectmen. I am the chair, Rich Rita, and today with me is the vice chair, Margaret Turner, and select board member, please. So I'd like to start with, first, I think we had something come up that Mark brought to our attention this morning. And I see the chair of the school board, Mike Virgo, is here since this, hi, Mike.
Hi.
Since this impacts school board equity. So if we can talk about that for a few minutes first.
Yeah, the bottom line, Rich, is that the plaintiffs in the Rand versus State of New Hampshire case filed a new motion in the injunction request that's before the Grafton County Superior Court or District Court. The issue is initially their injunction was to do away with the state education property tax portion of the bill to make that zero. The court had not scheduled anything as far as a hearing on that initial motion. They finally set the date for the motion as this coming Friday, but Department of Revenue Administration has been setting tax rates. And we actually sent our tax bill.
And we received our tax.
Yeah, we received our rate, and like many communities in the town. But today, the plaintiffs filed a new motion to, instead of making it $0, to make donor communities take the SWEP that they collect this year, which for us would be about $427,000, and return that money to the state, which because we use it as part of our school budget revenues, it would cause a change in our tax rate. In essence, I think we would have to issue a supplementary tax bill for that.
This is the old system.
This is the old system
Essentially,
of donor communities. In
donor
essence, what they've asked is to
Right.
create that in 2022.
So we raise that amount of money.
So you would have to re-raise that if we have to write that check to the state. That's right.
This is 2022.
2022,
Right.
not
2023.
right. We
Sorry.
thought that it was going, once DRA sent out the tax bills, we thought that anything that happened would relate to the 2023 tax rate.
Why Grafton County?
Well, it's where the
So it is statewide. It's
it
just,
is
okay.
statewide. It would apply statewide. It was just a motion that was filed in Grafton County.
Okay.
So we've been talking with other coalition members, communities, and with legal counsel. We have another call tomorrow to figure out if the coalition is going to file any motion to participate, because up to this point, we've just been observing. We haven't been participating in the court
So
cases.
who's been representing us? Sorry.
Well, it did not involve us until this point. It was these individuals who brought the case against the state of New Hampshire. So the AG's office has been,
Right.
so, and we thought really that it was kind of settled for this year once DRA started filing or issuing the tax rate. But this does change it quite a bit.
Is DRA gonna be this one?
I
Given all of these.
hope that they will, yes. But they would do that also through the state.
So the state would be present at this hearing.
The state will be at the.
Well, it's-
because they're in the- they are.
Right. It's not against Waterville Valley. It's against the state.
It's against this.
Right.
So I just wanted you to be aware that this was a major change to what Yes.
So when will we know something?
Friday, we will know what the judge's course of action is. They may take it under advisement. It could be another 2 weeks or 3 weeks before we get a judgment. But it could also, they could make a decision Friday.
Won't the state have an opportunity to?
And then there'll be
Yes.
appeals and everything. Yes. But this was a significant change in the approach that the plaintiffs were taking. So, for us, it would be another 86 cents on the tax rate.
Per thousand.
So, per thousand.
I thought it was $1.22 when I did the math.
427,000
Yeah.
is 86 cents with the new valuation.
Oh, the new valuation. So you need to tell me what that math is gonna be like for the future.
Divide by 495,000, instead of 330.
The new town valuation.
Yeah,
The new
we'll,
town valuation.
we'll talk.
We'll go over.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so just if you have any questions.
So I mean, it's certainly concerning, but on the other hand, the wheels of justice, there are appeals and all of those kind of things are gonna grind rather slowly.
Right, it just is a matter of whether or not the judge grants, because the injunction itself would bring the tax rate setting, the way it was initially filed, would have brought the tax rate setting process to a halt. So now I just don't want us to even have to send anything to the state or escrow that amount of money or anything else, because it is used as part of the school budget.
Right.
So the bills that the school is sending to the town to pay them their portion of the tax rate reflects this 427,000. So, if the court says we're still making up our minds, put the money into escrow, I would not want to pull that out.
So who's the plaintiff in the case? Just the
It's,
individuals?
it's several individuals from Grafton County, several from
But they have a group behind them, right, or several industries.
It's all the Claremont. I mean, the attorneys in the case are the same attorneys that argued the initial Claremont.
And Plymouth is a recipient.
They are receiving. And that's part of the problem in the city, where you have receiver communities and donor communities. You have holdings,
But part of the original suit was because at least one of the individuals felt businesses were being taxed too highly in Plymouth.
Well, their argument is that the state is ignoring previous court decisions and still allowing donor communities to retain their excess.
There's no action to take.
No action to take. It was information only, but it was pretty important because it was a big change. And I'll get with you on.
The math.
Maybe it's offered for a joint meeting.
It may be.
That's
right.
Because we'll have a decision. By then.
Yeah.
From the court.
Anybody have any?
Yes, joint meeting at 2 on the 9th.
On the 9th? Yeah, I have that.
Any,
Thank you for coming.
any comments from the public on this issue? Okay, let me return to the agenda. Now, the second item on the agenda is a discussion with Eric Levy as the chair of the Conservation Commission. I talked to Eric before the meeting, and it was the intent of the select board to have that discussion in non-public because of some concerns that the board has about the Conservation Commission. However, Eric asked that before we have that discussion, she present make her presentation, to the board. So the board is fine with that, so Eric, if you'd like to make your presentation.
I'll put a few things on the board first.
So, so we can see it on the camera.
Oh, you can.
Yeah, just if you could pivot it, Eric, so the camera can see, that way they can see on if anyone's viewing or later on if they're viewing.
And if you folks want to see, there are chairs along here.
Yeah,
You could move
I'm not sure it's gonna come up, but at least they can zoom in on it if they want to. Thank you.
No, I can see. I need my glasses. My hearing is on.
Topic that we'd like to cover today is informative and it's a review. We have been working on fact finding for about 3 years. This-
Could I just stop you very quickly? Could you define who the we is?
Oh, yes, exactly. Exactly. I'm getting to that.
Okay,
So first of all, Northeast Resource Recovery Association, of which we, the town of Waterville County, is a member. So 80% of New Hampshire towns belong to the Resource Recovery Association. And in 2020, more than $1.8 million was returned to our town. Just throwing it out there. There's a lot more information. I should try to highlight what I would like to talk about. So, my topic. The Resource Recovery Association, we're members, waste diversion, this is what we're talking about. Major push.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm getting sorry to interrupt again,
Okay.
but I was actually trying to get a better feel for,
Who are we?
who
I'm
are,
getting there.
no, but yeah, it would be very helpful at the very beginning to
Yeah.
tell us who is making this. Is this Eric Levy,
So,
property owner, making this presentation to the board?
yes, I'm a resident of Waterville
Right,
Valley.
okay, and there are no other,
So this started when I was a member of the Renewable Energy Committee, now known as the Community Power Committee. And they strongly urged me to start the fact finding for recycling for this town. Because the town wasn't doing recycling right. This is their push.
but you're no longer a
It's
member
Community
of
Power
that.
now.
Yeah,
yeah.
but are you a member of Community
Yes,
Power?
yes, sir.
So are you representing the Community Power?
So what happened, making a long story short, because you know the history. We were on our own. And then we became the citizens, what's the title, CRG? Citizens Recycling Group.
So that's who you are.
And that's who I'm representing, but that's
Okay,
not
that's-
all I'm representing. I'm
Okay.
representing the we, who are we? The we are, and the statistics come from the survey that we did, the town-wide survey in March this past year. We did the survey and, out of 130 respondents, we had a few statistics, but I'll get to that. Don't make me jump.
No, go ahead.
Because I'll skip things. So first, I want to say a big thank you to all the town participants who have donated the plastic bags, the plastic circulars, everything into our Trex bins. We have about 4 bins in town. The volunteers have helped. We've been enormously successful. So that's number one. And we do have a bench. The school has a bench now, but we're continuing to drive. In addition to Trex doing it, and we do it through Market Basket, Walmart also does the plastic gathering. And I don't know which company they use, but just so you know that other companies in town are doing this. They're helping us with resource recovery. So that's number one, a big thank you to everyone. We have a new bench.
Eric, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I love the fact that I can recycle plastic. I do it at the post office all the time. Do we have one in the shed over here? Because I think that would make a lot of sense. Because if you're,
So I think that question was brought up
Yeah.
months and months ago. And I think the reason we don't have it here is that we figured most of our residents go to the post office.
But I don't go to the
So,
post
wait.
office with trash. I go here with trash.
Yeah, you're a private homeowner, so
Right.
you don't go to the. Okay, so the volunteers that pick up stuff would have to make an extra stop here.
Mhm.
We have to make it easier for them, not harder.
Okay, just,
If you do go to the post office, just grab your bag.
I know, but most of the time, the bag's in the garage with the rest of the trash.
Might the other problem that we have is we're gonna have an administrative order on this facility down here.
Mhm.
We really should not be adding anything down here. We can potentially look at adjusting it when we move up above at the end of next year. But we really should not make
Okay.
any changes down here.
I would also note there's far less chance of contamination when we have it inside of the post office.
Good point, too.
Put it down.
Yeah, that's been, thank you, that's been proven. So some highlights from our recycling survey, because we had a large number of respondents, which we were surprised about. So 78%, just so you'll know, this is the we. To answer your question, who are we? So we are reflecting the town respondents. So that's all of us. So 78% support townwide recycling mandate, just so you know that. 82% support investing in a cardboard baler and recoup the costs, which are now, I'm out of date with the cost, but they are approximating $150 per ton right now, or months ago. I'm not up to date. Every month this group publishes, how much profit you can make from whatever item. So I don't know today's price. 89% of our respondents said they would separate trash from recycling. And 90% said they support recycling bottles, cans, and cardboard for cash. There's more, but I think those results are posted on the post office, and I think we posted it on the website when they came out. This was March of this year, not that long ago. So the question is, what do we do with it? So if we can hold all the questions to the very end, that would be great. So I can get through. Thank you. So that was the recycling. And there are more on the survey results. Okay. Now, why are we here today then, Rich? So we have challenges ahead. Everyone knows that the previous recycling program we had was a major failure. Major failure. Less than 20% compliance. It was a waste of energy. That's my interpretation. For this to work, we have to work together. And I'm speaking to my select board. We need your help. And we refers to the majority of the town, not the group, not the CRG, the Citizens Recycling Group. We're talking about the majority who have responded that they want recycling. Many young families approach me and other people and say, I moved to this town in the middle of the mountains if you don't recycle. I'm tired of hearing that. So I try to explain that, as Mark explained to me, we do have commercial recycling, as you know, construction material, etc. But it's going to be 5 or 7 years if we ever get the lagoons dredged and build a barn for our recycling. But we'd like you to keep this in mind so we can be involved in the planning of or design of the future spots. So another thing, and it'll all come together, I promise. Number two, a few of us gathered together and put tips and hints for recycling. And so we worked at it. We thought, okay, how do we recycle in the town that doesn't recycle? We have to find ways to help these residents and guests recycle. So we came up with maybe 10 or 12. So many of our owners are packing in and packing out, whatever they bring up to their condos or houses. Some of them are willing to take it back to their hometowns or places of residence or visiting their children like we do and bring it to Beverly and bring it wherever. don't. So some of us are doing that, and I always thank them at my board meetings, location. Thank you for doing that, because I know it's a drag. They don't like doing it. So they're doing it, thank you. Many people have participated in the Trex Challenge. The next item was the food waste. So food waste is huge. There are estimates of 24 to 30% of our waste being food waste. So if 24% of all our waste is food waste, it's very heavy, if you know this. Trash costs, and I have to apologize, I made a mistake in the November wigwag and said that our costs are only $100 per ton. I made a mistake and we missed it. It's actually $300 per ton. So the town is paying $300 per ton to truck it, the manpower, the driving and everything. So we figured out that without the food waste, we can save $72 per ton. And Waterville Valley trash is close to, well, we said 800, but I think it's 800 to 1,000 depending on estimates. So this is, it's into the next rate, $300,000 per year. I thought it was more. So it's under that. It's still a lot of money. So just a little example, if 100 people composted, it would keep 52,000 pounds out of our waste stream. Whatever it is, it would be 24 to 30% cost savings. So how do we compost? How do we compost? Some of us are gardeners and we do compost. Others live in condos, they don't have gardens. Can you compost? Can we? You know how? We talked about the machine. We talked about the machine that you can throw your compost in. And voila. This is the result. It's a little machine, and I have a condo, so it fits in my condo. This is the result of 3 runnings of the machine. It doesn't stink. It's lovely. It's full of amended soil, and you can see what it looks like. So then the question was, we discussed this briefly, where, if people are buying these machines, how many do we have in town? Does anybody know? How many people have? Maybe 10? Not everyone's recycling and composting. Even if we had 10 people producing this, the question would be, where do you put it? So it doesn't stink, so it's not going to attract animals. Anyway, this is a sample, and just go ahead and take a look at it. And then you soil. All right. That was just the back. The next topic is Canada supermarkets. As the next tip. Hi, Patrick. Okay, so Hannaford Supermarket offers 3 blue bins at the store entrance. Our Plymouth store accepts clean cans, paper, and plastic. No glass and no cardboard. So, one of our residents went online and said, you have to speak to them. What is Hannaford doing and how can we participate? So, Hannaford is one of these corporations that believe in social responsibility. They are certified stewards of sustainability. They do a lot, and so their Facebook page says, did you know that plastic bags take anywhere from 15 to 1,000 years to decompose? Only 1% of our plastic bags are recycled. If you do this plastic bags, please bring them back, and we will recycle them for you. All our stores have recycled bins for paper and plastic in the entryway. And when I called the manager about, can we all bring our stuff to your store? She said, that is what they're there for. That was her answer. So perhaps if you have, more questions or how Hannaford does it, perhaps we can have a manager come to our meeting and talk about it. But they are just one company that is doing all this. Habitat for Humanity is collecting clean cans now, and Walmart is collecting plastic. I don't know what kind of plastic that's, I think more diverse than Trexie. So there are companies that are doing their part and being socially responsible. Okay, so that was Hannaford. Another couple of comments about Hannaford. Hannaford brings all its recycling and trash and food to their main corporate store in Scarborough, Maine. They provide 500 meals per day for families in need. There's a lot of food that says expired today. They can't sell it, they just bring it. No. Listen to this quote. If food waste were a country, it would be the world's third largest producer of greenhouse gases. That's another reason we don't want food in the landfills or out there. It produces greenhouse gases. So, Hannaford is a certified steward of sustainability. It recycled 82% of its waste in 2020. It recycled 101 million pounds of cardboard and 3.3 million pounds of plastic in 1 year. It diverted, this is what we're talking about, waste diversion, 32.7 million pounds of food waste through biodigesters, creating energy via a company, I don't know the name of the company, Exeter Agri Energy. And it is a coffee fair trade certified. So that is a little bit about Hannaford. There's another thing you could look at later. Okay. So again, all waste that we divert will save us money. It will save us money by fewer runs to the wherever, to either Win Waste or Casella. It will save us money. We like that idea. And how can we work together? We would like the select board to ask us questions about this challenge that we have for the next 5 to 7 years. And my last part of the thing, I wrote MSW equals MIA. Because people are asking me what happened to MSW. We haven't seen minutes, we haven't seen anything. Recycling was supposed to be a subcommittee of the solid waste committee. We'd like to know what is happening, and we would like to plan for our future transfer station. One more comment from another resident. Oh, in case you were curious, the population of Plymouth and its areas are over 10,000 people, and we think maybe, this is a guesstimate, maybe 50 people in town recycle all of them right now. We'd rather have it here than have to trek everything to different stores. So it's just a challenge. So we would like you to help us with that challenge. Now from another resident, okay, in accordance with the RSA, including section 149, blah, blah, blah. Step 1 is select board working on an action plan. A, source reduction. B, waste diversion, including recycling and reusing. And C, composting. And all to reach the goal, and this is in our master plan, I believe. I think that's where she pulled this from. All to reach our goal of reducing the weight of our trash by 25% by 2030 and 45% by 2050. One more thing, I don't know if I told you this, I did tell you that. Oh, one more comment from the Resource Recovery Association. I think this is Reagan Bissonette saying this. So the next time you hear someone talking about how recycling is broken or not worth it, or if you read something to that effect, I hope you'll consider sharing this information with them. At a time when it feels like there's nothing but bad news, it's nice to spread good news that recycling is thriving in the Granite State. I think I'm ready for questions.
All right, well, thank you.
For you and the audience.
Thank you for it. We have, and I'm sorry, cut off discussion, but we do have other items the department heads to talk to today, but about things like budget and so forth. Let me make one general comment and open the questions and answer one question of yours. For several years now, the select board has stated that it plans to reinstitute household trash recycling the earliest possible opportunity. And I won't go over the whole history of why we lost recycling to begin with, mostly outside forces, and then the fact that we will no longer have a facility space available for recycling. And to answer your question, about a year and a half ago, the board established this municipal solid waste committee. And one of its subcommittees indeed was the recycling subcommittee. At its most recent meeting, we decided to dissolve the committee and just concentrate on the recycling portion of municipal solid waste, because that seemed to be the most important issue that townspeople could help us with. So, and this was noted, and we discussed it briefly, admittedly, at a select board meeting a couple of meetings ago. So it is in existence, and it has two responsibilities. One is to look at the new interim transfer facility, and I think we talked about sharing plans with this committee, which is a creation of the select board to advise the select board on recycling issues. So one of the things we've asked them to advise us about is what, if any, recycling can volunteers do in this new interim transfer facility that will be built next year. And the second thing we asked this recycling committee to look at was composting. And as I recall, I know what, 3 people on that. There's Jeff Silver and Barbara. I never can say her right name. Laverdier, thank you. And a new resident, or 2 new residents, I think, have expressed interest on it. So we have taken on the issue of what can we do with household waste recycling while we are still, we don't even know what the plant is going to look like and where it's situated yet. We just know we're not going to have this area even to do our normal trash disposal. So I just wanted to get that out so that everyone understands that the select board has been, frankly, I've been certainly seized with this issue for the last year and a half, and we're trying to do what we can. So let me, Mike, I know you have a question, but I don't want to monopolize Margaret or Bob, if you have any comments, or when Mike asks his question before
The
you
comment on Hannaford's, I talked to one of our prominent citizens that everybody knows, right outside Hannaford's, and she told me that she had just been scolded by the manager of the Hannaford's for bringing good trash.
Trash,
Well, it's recyclables,
that's different between trash and
recyclables.
Okay, so I'm telling you, better from the horses now. And they have a whole office, a department of sustainability. This is what they're there for. So I don't know, that's one
Well-
person, that's a very good question.
I don't believe they're looking at this as an opportunity to take over the cost of recycling other communities' trash.
Right.
They have some very small bins outside their store. They want you to throw your plastic bag in there when you leave the store. If you have a bottle in your car and you're on your way into the store, or maybe you had your drink in the store, they want you to use that. That's somewhat related to being a Hannaford's customer. It costs them money to recycle.
It's profitable for them and it's good PR.
It costs them money to recycle. And by encouraging people to go and use those bins for their recycling from Waterville Valley, you are transferring the cost from Waterville Valley to Hannaford's. And it's hard for me to believe that Hannaford's, as a corporation, wants to be the person who recycles the community trash from all around.
Does anyone want to?
Mike, you had a question?
It's kind of, everything's interweaving here. Having property owners in Water Valley going to Hannaford is not the solution. I mean, it's a short-term solution. It's not the solution.
Not the solution.
So it's not the solution. 85% of the town wants recycling. We stopped recycling because it, for whatever reason, and it became cost prohibitive. I think, honestly, if we went to the town and said, in March and said, okay, if you want recycling as a warrant article and we're gonna recycle and it's gonna cost X amount of money, let's hear what they have to say. I understand this board, I understand my board. We are doing what we think is fiscally correct based on our knowledge. But I strongly think that the townspeople would have no problem paying an extra 300, 500, whatever it is on the tax bill, $1,000 maybe on the tax bill to have recycling in Waterville Valley. But we'll never know that unless we ask the townspeople. Eric did the survey and found out that 85, 95, 90% of people want recycling in Waterville. They don't know what the cost is going to be, but if the cost can be presented, then we have a chance of saying the town's going to say, yes, I'm willing to pocket this money out of my pocket or put this money out of my pocket to have recycling in town. Going to Hannaford's stopgap, not a solution.
It's just one little help. There are other areas. right?
Any other comments or questions?
Just another comment on the food waste. I imagine that, I'm gonna guess 80% of that comes from the ski area and the restaurants as opposed to individual homes.
It comes from
Commercial.
We're just talking about what we can do, and this is what we focused on at the last meeting. We know what we can't do, and I hate telling people, you cannot do this. I want to tell people what you can do. I'd like the select board to help the townspeople, help them figure out how to recycle. Not with volunteers in that little corner of that new interim, that's not serious. You will not be taken seriously, and I don't want to have more volunteers do it. I think it should be, we should wait for the right time and build that barn, put solar arrays on the roof of that barn to energize our new facility. Put whatever, you don't have to recycle everything. We're like focusing on the profit-making items such as cardboard and what we talking about,
Aluminum.
glass. Whatever brings most money, just, you can only focus on two, just do that. I mean, Jim had a chance to go to the role model of Guilford a few weeks ago in October, and he didn't make it.
Talking about our public
The
works
field,
department.
yes,
Ed.
yeah, Jim made it.
Yeah, that was
It was a bad time.
misadvertised. No, it was misadvertised. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah,
It wasn't for,
field trip,
the field trip was not for anyone but licensed.
right, so
Yeah.
Jim Mayhew was
Yeah.
licensed.
Yeah, we thought we
But
were
he
trying to
couldn't
get in on
make
it,
it,
right?
and we heard something. So Guilford is the role model that our group,
Mhm.
We work with NRA all the time.
Right.
They have been here.
Yeah.
They have looked at our facilities. They have told us that we are not, we do not have sufficient land to build the facilities that you are talking about. And yes, Mike, we could add $300,000 to a warrant article to build facilities. But right now, we don't even know where the treatment plant is gonna go, what it's gonna look like, how much space it's going to take up. It doesn't make any sense right now to plan to build a facility that we would then have to take down a portion of, or all of, to meet our other requirements. We have been saying for years that when we are all set with the treatment plant, as soon as we know where it's going to be, and as soon as we know what it's gonna look like, and we have a firm budget for it, then we can start the planning
Right.
for the recycling center.
Right.
You have been told that, really.
I'm
over and
not
over.
saying tomorrow, I'm saying 5 to 7
Right.
years, but we can.
And,
Yeah.
and I hear what you're saying, and I agree. I just believe that there's a movement in town that they're willing to pay, and we just need to know that they're willing to pay.
But there's no place to put the building.
Understood. So it's good to hear that there's the form of, there's the beginnings of a plan. It's good to hear that.
Yeah, it's
We've discussed
an
it many
intent
times.
Yeah.
to do the recycling center as soon as we can start planning.
Mhm.
But we can't plan anything yet.
I've talked to several people about forming a group of, I call them eminent watervillians, not watervillains, but watervillians, once we get a sense of what our plant is gonna be like and where it's gonna be situated, to sit down and look at recycling as an issue, or what else we may be able to use the space that will be opening up, where the lagoons are, the solar power, and for recycling center, for a number of different things. And no one, I applaud you very much, I honestly mean this. Your determination and desire for the town to, and your passion for the town to return to recycling.
No, we're not saying return to.
Well, no, it is a return
Recycling,
to,
right, not wrong.
well, okay, I won't argue
Okay.
the point, but we're trying to point out the constraints we've been operating under for the past couple of
We
years.
totally
And this
sympathize
is,
and empathize. But there are things that we can do right now, and I think maybe
all right,
composting would be.
Yeah,
Kelly, you wanted to,
yeah, thanks. So I'm listening, I've been talking with Erin about this for a year now. This is my first select board meeting that I've been to.
welcome.
Thank you. And I'm so grateful for, I was briefly on the municipal solid waste committee and stopped because meetings were not being successful. Anyway, I learned a lot in that about what Mark just said about like what's happening with the transfer station, where that's all going. So I think what Eric's trying to get at and what help from the select board and the town is, what can we do now? What practices can we start putting into place? How to encourage residents to be in the practice of recycling? Because it's kind of like any habit that if you don't do it, it's hard to start again. And there's, a lot of us COVID refugees, whatever you want to call us, who moved here from places that do recycle. And as we're like falling off of that practice, how to like bring that back in. And thinking about the bins at Hannaford, there's no signs, there's nothing that like, don't bring your home waste here. There's nothing that says it's only from Hannaford stuff. And I think, if anybody brings like your junk mail there, like every time you go shopping, it's not going to overload the system. And if 600 residents in town, if like 100 of us do that on a weekly basis, it's going to be like a drop in the bucket compared to all the people. So it seems like the Hannaford clearly has those out there encouraging people to use them without any sign saying don't use it for X, Y, and Z. So I think anything that can help encourage people, and I'm just harping on that one thing because it was discussed a lot, but so what I would like to know from the select board is, and I don't need an answer right now, but in the what can we start doing now as a town that doesn't involve people like Erin and Becca, and I don't know if you do it too, Jenny, whoever goes around and collects the plastic bags to get the bench, that's a huge amount of effort. So what can the town do? And I know there was talk about the town subsidizing countertop composting. I don't know if that's something that can be done, and and then adding to town plantings to build soil, or I'm just wondering how to put all these pieces together of this energy, enthusiasm. And Rich, I really appreciate you hearing you say that you appreciate Eric's efforts, because
No, I do, and I was, we were trying to capture it when we created the Municipal Solid Waste Committee close to a year and a half ago. And as I mentioned a few minutes ago, these are the sorts of questions that we've asked this where there's now a recycling group to look at and provide some options or some advice to the select board so that we can move forward do what we can do prior to getting a full service, recycling operation back. So you're welcome to be part of that if you'd like.
How, what do I need to do to be part of it?
We'll send you
We'll send
an
you-
email
welcome.
address for Jeff.
We'll send you a welcome pack
Jeff Soper and Barb Verdier are heading it up.
Okay.
and composting was
And
one of the issues.
composting is one of the issues
One
that
of
they're
the
gonna look at. And they're gonna look at exactly what you're saying. We'll work with them to develop a list of actions we can take. And as interim steps.
That
And
is the
we'll do
intent.
what we can.
Rich, yeah,
And
thank you, Mark. One of the very helpful ideas was, I didn't finish that, the waste diversion fund. And, we chatted about a waste diversion fund as ways to help people buy those expensive home composters. But I think a smarter idea, 'cause I think it's illegal to do that. Somebody mentioned it's not legal. A better idea would be, to start a waste diversion fund, adding $5 to each water, sewer, trash bill, and start a fund for either a cardboard baler or anything else that the team comes up with. So that's the waste diversion fund that I've mentioned, but that's the idea, big idea.
Speaking for myself and not the board, I'm willing to look at anything. I think both Margaret and Bob are willing to look at, maybe just about anything.
Okay.
And if an issue like that, we would like this recycling group to look at and explore and let us know what is doable. And then talk to the town manager about it and look at it in terms of what is proper for municipal operation. That's part of it as well.
Is
Yeah,
this new MSW group, is this a reformation of
Yes.
the former group?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
The overall committee for municipal solid waste was disbanded.
Okay,
And the recycling group of it stayed in place to continue to deal with recycling.
As the select
Issue.
board's advisory group. As I said,
On
we
recycling.
charged them with 2 issues
Mhm.
today. That's the first I've heard of it.
First I've heard it too.
Yeah.
We mentioned it, I mentioned it specifically 2 select board meetings ago. Sorry.
And who is the chair? Is there a chair? Is it
No, it's
Barb?
just Jeff Soper and Barbara
Perfect.
Verdier and this new, this John
Michelle,
and I believe his, expressed an interest, and they've already been in contact with
they have-
with
Okay,
Mark
Terrific.
on things, so I think we want to keep it to a manageable size, so but I do, Kelly, you're welcome to join it, but I think we should keep it like round 4, 3, 4, 5, no bigger than that, because then things become unwieldy, but other people can participate as needed, depending upon how these guys want to run their advisory group.
And I don't have any meetings yet scheduled
Okay,
for them, but they'll be posted.
Right.
and, have
that's
them-
great news. Thank you.
Very good.
Sorry, the word hasn't gotten out, but that's what we did.
Yeah,
in
I have one
October.
other comment, and nobody's referred to this today, but I know I have a place in New York City. And we have recycling. I have this little room where you take your stuff and you put everything of this type in this bucket and everything of this type in this bucket. And within the last year, there have been several articles in New York City that says, guess what? Stuff isn't being recycled at all. It's sitting on barges in the middle of the river while somebody tries to figure out what to do with it. And I do get concerned about setting up recycling systems if the material in fact is not being recycled. When we were doing it here, there was a schedule of how much per ton, you got back and all of that kind of thing. And there was a recycling center over in Vermont that was taking all of this, and we knew that it was going someplace where it actually would be recycled.
But don't you trust their figures, the NRRA figures?
I don't think it's a question of, I think it's a question of different information sources. I've recently, again, it's something that and others are also very interested in. There was recently a report by Greenpeace that pointed out what 95% of plastic that's recycled ends up in the ocean.
It's not one of our profit
But
making.
the point is, right, but I think there are countervailing factors, and this is why and the fact that it costs more to recycle, so why would we want to pay more per ton, let alone the setup costs and the personnel costs to run a recycling center? Why would we want to pay more per ton of household waste disposal for recycling, which is the choice we were faced with, if it's only going to end up in a landfill or dumped into the ocean anyway? So this gets to the point I think I mentioned earlier in answer to Mike's question, as to outside conditions which buffet us, and not only the small town of Waterville Valley, but many communities throughout the United States. There's a reason why even New York City may be having a difficult time disposing of certain types of what used to be considered recyclables. That may not be true on cardboard anymore.
No.
That may not be true on glass, I think you said, Jeff Becker. Yeah. But I
We
mean,
visited a few transfer stations all over New Hampshire.
Yeah.
We came away very impressed.
mhm.
Not only was the morale good in all these places, they were happy.
Proud of what
They were proud of what they were doing, and they showed the profit. So even your Hampton Thornton transfer station, when Steve was running it, they were, at the time, they were getting over $100 a ton for cardboard. The market is still good. COVID actually helped the markets. I think we should, pay attention, stay tuned to the market conditions. And if in 5 years we see that they are still good for your cardboard and your glass, go for it.
I would say, just to wrap this up, I guess, I would say, please interact with your group, with the Citizens Recycling Group, CRG, we go with CRG. Interact with this recycling group that the select board established to advise us on how to go forward on recycling over the next few years, and then beyond. What would our more permanent recycling facility look like? So, yes, John, please.
Just have a quick observation. Speaking of Hannaford's, I just noticed that Eric has spent many hours talking with the manager there and their main store in Maine, the state of Maine. And as I listen to the board, I don't know if any one of you have spoken to any of them, but this is proof of what is going on with Hannaford's. So you keep saying, it sounds like you keep saying, no, they don't do that. So I just think maybe the board could think about maybe calling the manager or let us bring one in. So
Well, I
you
think-
can hear it.
Okay, I think John would do, I just, Mark, could you just ask this recycling group to look into that? And let's get to the bottom of it. I mean, I'm in the other camp. I don't see those little holes next to the other, and those three blue buckets to be any, or cans, or whatever you want to call them.
They're
bins.
huge bins with
But I
slightly
think,
small
like
holes.
yesterday when I went in, was just to throw a bottle in. I don't think I was meant to bring a week's worth, my blue bin full of plastic and
They're
paper.
shoppers. You a shopper?
I do, but
I want you to.
I understand.
Now,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to reignite this, but I'll ask you guys are okay.
Let them do that.
And see what they,
We'll get something in writing from the Plymouth Hannaford store.
Okay.
And bring it into the board, exactly what you're.
all right. Anything further on the recycling? So Eric, we wanted to have a very brief conversation with you in non-public concerning the conservation
Okay.
commission. So if you're still amenable to that, we could do it now.
Fine.
All right, so I'd like to ask for.
So moved.
Have a second. All in favor? Thank you, everybody. As a non-public, it was, mean.
Conservation.
Everyone, right.
Needs to get out.
I wouldn't put it that way. And that's a, that is my word. Yeah, get out.
Is it just ear?
It's a conversation that we'd like to have with the chair of the council.
Oh, only, not my group?
Well, we would prefer to have with the chair.
All right, fine. Thank you for coming.
John's waiting for you, John.
Steve.